So we're going to do something a little bit special here. This is kind of prompted by a conversation was had last night in class where a student was interested, or a classmate was interested in why would you get employed in America and live in a more affordable locale, right? Why wouldn't you try and get paid in that local money? You really don't want to do that. You really can't do that. And so I'm going to lay out a case of why that is. And so if you have questions after that, let me know because I want to clarify it so that you have a better idea of why you're doing what you're doing and then how to get there. All right. So we get started in a minute or two. People who are interested can get in, and I'm going to share my screen so that people can see a little bit more about what we're doing. In a second here. All right, share this. Okay. All right. This is from our entrepreneur. And this basically does have, basic question, which is, I want to start a business abroad. Why would I do that? Is there something I do that's expat friendly? Typically, no. If you're going to start a business as an American abroad, your best bet would be something that has low overhead, high-ish and steady rate of return, like an Airbnb or a series of Airbnbs where you can own something, you employ people for very little cost, you have very little overhead and toilet breaks or something like that. That's still not even that great because you're going to have to deal with probably party people. I don't know why this is causing this error, but let me exit that. Right, so you'll see a lot of these people, they actually recommend the US, right? US is a lot more business friendly, partially because you have a couple of states that are amenable to actually having people start businesses, especially Delaware, I think North Dakota. And then if you want to hire people, you can attract them by being in a low or no income tax state. And I think those would be what, Florida, Tennessee, maybe Vermont, Washington State, Nevada. I might be missing one, right? But you're also going to be avoiding more costly states. Oh, Texas. I think Texas is a no income tax state. Yeah. So that'll be a benefit as well. So this is a little bit of information about how you set up your LLC, what you're planning on doing with it, and then what are you trying to do? These people are recommending Ireland, and that is a good recommendation. I've seen that there are a lot of tax incentives to start businesses in Ireland. I think the major internet companies, the Facebook, Google, they run like an interesting operation where they'll have a business headquartered in Ireland and then have a lot of money held there because it's taxed lower. And then they can hire, certain Irish people to work in their offices to get, lower costs of labor. But then they'll basically hold their money outside of the US, so it won't be taxed here, right? So a lot of them are trying to wait for their money to be or tax rates to be lessened or waived so they can repatriate that money. You're going to have to ask Salchi a little bit more about that. But that's just an overview of what you're going to get, right? So if anyone has figured out how to make this work, I'd love to learn, right? There are ways you can do this, but you're really going to have to see tax accountant and figure out what's the best bet. Sometimes it might be marrying a local. Sometimes it might be starting a business there and only hiring locals. Sometimes it might be starting a business there, but then being incorporated in like the US. There's a bunch of different plays you can do. Consult an attorney, a real tax attorney, and get it, right? All right, so I'm going to move forward to the next one. Okay, paying taxes as an American expat with a business abroad. This is going to be another one. And I'm going to have the sources in the chat or in the description so you can look at this a little bit more. So there's all these different types of loopholes. Again, talk to a tax attorney. All right, if you owe this, let's say 700 in taxes, you're looking at a tax credit of $200. All right, you're looking at that's a hypothetical, right? But there's advantages of income versus business income. You're going to have to figure out what you're going to do because a lot of it is going to be how much you're willing to tolerate as far as stress, because being a business owner is a very different thing than being an individual contributor. You don't have to germ up business as a business owner or as a contributor, but you do as a business owner. That's going to be a problem for a lot of people because doing that business and that sales orientation, not a lot of people are cut out for it. And even the ones who are, they don't really like it. All right. Or they like the win, but the money is almost like an ancillary prize. Right. So look into this, see if this actually makes sense. Yeah, but this will go in a little bit more into, your foreign income. And look, this guy's a CPA. This is where I found this information. give them a call or give someone like this a call. I think Pocket Watchman and JT could probably give you like an overview, but I don't think that's his specialty. Someone like Salchi could give you an overview, but again, I don't think that's his specialty. But they can say, look, this is the direction you want to go in. This is the type of arrangement you want to make. Or what's his name? Alonzo Hall, right? I think he's another guy who can do that same thing, right? Give you an overview, specialize certain vehicles, have you get set up. That's what you're really going to have to do. But your goal is how are you going to earn the most money, pay the least legal amount of taxes, or have tax deferred vehicles, and then go forward. I don't know why. So my memory's probably running out because I'm running a program. All right. So difference between business and taxes and personal income, right? You're going to get taxed on both, but you can do offsets for business income. We're not going to go there anymore because then you're going to have to talk to an actual tax accountant who will know this. But if you look at this worldwide, this is the map of how tax rates are done by income throughout the world. And I said last night, it averages between around 30%. And if you can see, dark red, those are going to be your higher income tax, around 40%. Look at Western Europe, obviously, Scandinavia, right? And then you look at Canada, the US, it's around the 30% level. South America, around the 25 to 30% level. Bolivia is actually pretty cheap. And I think this is Paraguay is actually pretty cheap as well, or low as far as taxes, right? So you have to get that into your idea of, let's say you're making 100,000. So that means your taxes be as high as, 40,000 in Australia, Western Europe, right? Or as low as 15,000 in, let's say, Paraguay or Bolivia. But again, how many high paying businesses or jobs are there? You're going to get the high paying jobs in North America, Western Europe to a degree. China's coming up. Australia is coming up. South Africa has some, but you have to be very specialized, right? And this will give you a little bit more information if you want to look. And again, sources are in the description, and I'll add them just to make sure. All right. Another article from Statista shows the income tax around the world. You see this again, the Nordics, Japan, Austria, Netherlands, Belgium, Ireland, high income tax, but not business tax for Ireland, right? That's an interesting one. So you're looking at highest rates. So this is the highest incomes, how they're being taxed. So if you're making the top income in Sweden, 57% is going out of your pocket. That's a lot. That's a lot. And this is at Statista. You could find that here. Germany, the same. And if you sign up, you can get the full chart. But this is to give you an idea of what's going on here. All right. Just X out of that. Global average income. Okay. Let's see. Overall, the average global personal income is $9,000 per year. Average global household income is $12,000 per year. Per capita household income is $3,000 a year. That's not a lot. That's not a lot at all. What is that? $8 a day? $9 a day? That's not a lot. All right. So making over 100,000 puts you in the top 10% of global income earners, while making over 1 million puts you in the top 1%. This is what we're training for to get here. Okay. And you can see how this has gone from the $2 to $3 a day, right, to about $7.50. Yeah, $8 a day. Right. So you look at this, most people make under $10,000 a day or $10,000 a year, excuse me. That 10 to 100,000, that's about 33%. You got to think a lot of that's going to be in China. That's going to be in South and parts of, well, let's say China, Australia, Western Europe, North America. And that's really about it. Yeah, you might see a couple of outliers in certain countries, Abu Dhabi, Bahrain, something like that. But most people are broke. Most people are very poor. Most people are very broke. Top 10 countries by income. All right, look at this. Monaco, that's where the billionaires hang out. Somebody making $186,000 a year in Monaco is broke. They are broke. All right, Bermuda, tax haven. Switzerland, banking, and somewhat of a tax haven too. They got rid of the Swiss banking laws that were made themselves a lot more transparent. Luxembourg, banking. Norway, oil and gas. Ireland, tax haven. United States has some tax haven aspects, but because we're 50 countries paired together as one, we have a lot more diversity as far as our economy. Denmark, somewhat of a tax haven, some of a research hub, doing pretty well though. Singapore, Lee Kuan Yew did a lot to make that country as strong as it is. I mean, that guy really cooked and make that. He resisted a lot of temptation for personal enrichment to put them up top. Iceland, they figured out a lot to make their country really run. The geothermals, they have some pretty good diversity. They're sort of in the EU, but not. I mean, they have a lot of good stuff. But yeah, this is to give you an idea. So these are the richest countries in the world in the average income. Like really think about that. You're doing very well if your income is anywhere in this line. You want to get higher than this so you have the ability to live well in any of these countries. Bottom 10 countries. Burundi, $220 a year. Niger, right? Afghanistan, Somalia, South Sudan. Well, these are none of these countries I'd want to live in. I'd like to visit Madagascar because it seems very interesting. Been to Sierra Leone. Um, not haven't been to Central African Republic. I'd like to go there. Haven't been to Niger. But yeah, look at that average annual income, $220 a year. You're basically subsisting off of nothing, right? Not nothing, but you ain't making money. All right. So that's just to give you an idea. Again, it's in it's in the description. All right. Average monthly expenses, right? Household expenses in America. So let's see how this has changed over time. So about 12 years ago, that'd be about 4,000 a month. Today, it's about 5,500. That's a lot, but it's household expenses. So you're imagining, what do they say? Average expenses. That doesn't mean you won't be surprised by how much you're actually spending to learn more about this. Now, this is household, so this is not individual. All right. My guess is that they're doing the two-person and a child, or two adults and two children. So that basically means out of 4,000, 75% of the average yearly income of 87,000. So that means you got, probably one person making 60,000, another person working part-time making 20, right? So average monthly household expenses by family size. This is more realistic. Okay, family, single person, 3,400. Wow, I'm right on that. I'm really close to that. Family of two, 5,700. Family of three, 6,500. Family of four, 7,700. Family of five, 7,400. That's a lot of money, right? So you're looking at 40,000 a year, 60,000 a year, or 70,000 a year, 80,000 a year, 92,000 a year, 88,000 a year. That efficiency, huh? Once you get past three kids, I heard it does get a little cheaper because you can start reusing clothes, reusing different things, toys, all that stuff, right? And you see the household expenses over time, how that's increased, right? From 51,000 to about 66,000. Yeah, it's jumped 6% from 2020 to 2021. And if you looked at the past since 2021, it's probably rocket shipped up to, if I had to guess, I'd say that 66,000 is probably at 80,000, unless people start making severe cuts. So spending changes by category, more entertainment, more apparel. So my guess is people want to soak themselves up with not having to concentrate, and then apparel, cost of living, cheap goods are no longer available. You can only have so much stuff made in China or Vietnam or Haiti, and yeah, and people are not spending on healthcare, not spending on housing, or they are, but not that hasn't gone up, and they're spending. Okay, all right, and then so you can go by spending by category. Like you can get yourself a good idea of what people actually spend, and I'll show you a little bit more as we go. Highest cost of living in the world. This will go into it a little bit more. Prices for rent, food, transpo, and all the other basket of consumables, right? So for lifestyle, you'll see the highest cost of living, Monaco, billionaires playground. Singapore, I mean, they figured it out. Caymans, tax haven. Switzerland, tax haven. US. When is this set? When is this? This must be 5 years ago. So it's okay. So all right, let me try and blow this up a little bit. So it's calculated by housing, food, transpo, other expenses. Yeah, that's your basics. All right. All right. Stop it. So it's looking at Monaco and Bahrain is at the bottom of this list. That doesn't mean that the bottom. That's what usually like a Central African country will be at the lowest. But a lot of these countries at the bottom usually have a lot more government subsidy and a national like a national sovereign fund that helps to fund their citizens, or like a heavily socialized state where you're seeing up at the Belgium, Germany, France, where they socialize a lot of stuff and heavily tax them. So there's a lot of money moving around in that way. So why is it this way? Monaco's the most expensive place to live, followed by Switzerland, Singapore, Caymans. Europe, other nations have a higher cost of living than southern nations. Southeast Asia, South America are more affordable than other regions. Yeah, I like using more affordable than cheaper. It just sounds better because cheap, nobody likes to be called cheap. But affordable, it's a softer sell. Countries with higher taxes tend to have higher living costs. Yeah, This is because taxes are used to pay for social services. Boom. Social services and facilities that people live. So it's good. I like that when it has like you have infrastructure, you have something that can develop your people a lot better to produce better people who can be more productive. It's a good investment. But if you're just subsidizing people who have no benefit, then you're kind of losing. So Monaco, most expensive place to buy or rent a home. Average monthly rent for one bedroom flat, 2,300 to 3,500, and that's going to be tiny. Like this is billionaires play, right? Like this is what the yachts are. This is crazy, crazy money. High-end restaurant, yeah, $50 a person. Yeah, so probably like 10 years ago, I was in southern France with my grandfather, and we went to Monaco for a day trip, and I had a burger that was $35. And that's a lot of money, but they do that to price people out. They don't want people in their way. So Monaco has high prices for things like utilities. Um, yeah, so this is just a very Western country that tries to price as many people out. Singapore, very similarly. And we could go on and on, right? Again, this is in the description. All right. Cost of living around the world. Let me see if I can open this in a new tab to get it a little bit bigger. All right. So Switzerland, most expensive country. This is a different time. Okay, this is supposed to be set as a different time. So my guess is that was in so this is 2015, right? That's why. Okay, so Switzerland, yeah. Venezuela, cost of living crisis. Yeah, that's by the yeah. A lot of crap happened at that point. India, yeah, I would not want to live in India unless I was a billionaire or multi-millionaire. You'll see poverty there. You won't even see in like Central Africa. Um, but yeah, your best bet would be if I had to say somewhere in the nice band here in middle Mexico, northern South America, or somewhere along the coast, North Africa, or if you have money, somewhere along the what do you call it, the Bight of Biafra, South Africa. Um, Let me see. Parts of the Middle East could be good. Parts of India could be good, but all that band, you need to have money, and it's going to get better as China starts to spread its wings. Um, they're already spread, but and then like parts of Southeast Asia, you got like Kuala Lumpur, you have Singapore, Bangkok. There's a bunch of different places. China is just hyper developing. They're trying to spread far and wide as far as infrastructure. Japan, obviously, uh, Australia, obviously. So a lot of this Indonesia, mixed bag. It's mixed bag. Don't the main reasons I would avoid Southeast Asia personally are the time difference. If I'm working in a US position and I am stationed in Southeast Asia, that means I'm going to be working third shift. I'm not going to do that. And transportation back and forth is going to be, imagine that flight from, let's just say from Indonesia to Tokyo would be 8 hours. And then Tokyo to Los Angeles to LAX over here would be another 12 hours, right? And then let's say that's just if you're in LAX. And then let's say you have to make another hop to New York, Chicago, Denver. So you're talking another 2 to 5 hours. So you're talking 24 hours of flying just to get home for, a team building meeting. It's just unappealing. If I could be guaranteed that I could be out there long term, I consider it. But the time difference from working and the time difference from traveling, that's just a pain. And no, so I'm not willing to do that. And they do have single flights that'll go from like Western Australia to UK or Eastern Australia to LAX. But it's still time, right? You don't get that back. All right, so we'll go forward. All right, it's cost of living. So this is one I wanted to look at. All right, big thing, the big reason why you would want to earn more as an income earner and then consider living abroad is I'm going to compare the cost of living for Atlanta versus Medellin, Colombia. All right, look at this when we look at what it would cost for your food on average. Why is this here? Why is this here? Get out of the way. You're looking on average in this difference column. Let me blow that up a little bit. We all not always have a good eyesight, right? Why is this not? Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa. That got way too big. Yeah, I'm using a lot of compute resources. All right. So you're looking at on average in this difference column, about 60% discount, right? In your markets, you're looking for as low as 8% to as high as what, 70, 80% off for fruits, right? So let's say on average 55%, right? 55% discount. And then you're looking at your transportation, let's see, 70 to 4%. So for buying a vehicle, yeah, okay. So you buy a vehicle and it's a little cheaper, right? But you're looking at, on average, 55% discount, right? Looking at your utilities, another 60 to 70%. Your sports and leisure, tennis court, yeah. I mean, you could rent, but that's nothing, right? $10 versus $16. Okay. But on average, it's going to be about 50% cheaper. Childcare, 70%, 70 to 80% cheaper. Clothing, around 20% cheaper. All right, a pair of Levi's. So this is going to be brand name. We're going to buy whatever's in Colombia, right? Your rent, average one bedroom apartment in a city center, 77%, right? So on average, 70% discount for your housing. An apartment to buy, on average, 45% lower per square foot. Where I guess this would be, yeah, it's square footage, right? Salaries. So your salaries are going to be lower. That's why you earn abroad, live there. So you're talking, look at this, average monthly net salary after taxes, 5,500 in America. Yeah, that sounds about right. So it'd be 55, that would be what, 70,000 a year and to $400, right? Andre's not lying. People are not making money and outside of certain pockets of this world. All right. And this is numbeo.com. All right. All right. And then we're going to keep going. All right. So I always point to this site because it's a nice site that aggregates a lot of interesting stuff. Don't quit your day job, right? DQYDJ, right? So they go over investing, net worth, income, health, a lot of stuff about money, right? So I'm going to give you like, this is in the description, but we're going to go over a couple of things, right? So this will show like the US individual income distribution by age 2024. So if you, let's say you're 40 and you're making 80,000 a year, right? I put you in the 66th percentile, roughly. Yeah, 67th percentile. All right. Making 150, 40, you're in the 89th percentile, right? That's a significant jump. So you can see that money in America does matter, and a lot of people don't make money. Where it starts to hockey stick, look at that 200,000, it starts to just woo, 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 woo. That's where it just starts to rocket ship up. That's where there's like no one really makes that. And you can see this, the average and median income by age. This is where you can start to see how it breaks about. All right. So 25, 99th percentile, 200,000. 35, it's 550. 45, 517. 483, 571, right? So every 10 years. So it's about that. So if you're very young, 200,000. Once you get to middle age, which is about 35 to 40, it's around 500,000. That's where then that 1% really starts to break out. And then you don't really see people. And over here, you see the averages. It's about 50 to 90,000. So about 70,000 is the average income. Obviously, when you're younger, you're going to make less money. I was broke. I'm still broke. I mean, like I don't have Theo money, right? When I do, you will not hear from me again. This channel, you'll just see like a close for business. All right. But yeah, tinker around on this site. Get a good idea of where stuff is, right? Look at this table here that shows the bottom 10%, 25%, median, 75th percentile, 90th percentile, 99th percentile. So most people are really, let's say, yeah, age 21. So let's say 35. So let's say most people are about that 35,000 to 81,000. No, that's really it. But if you look at this median column right here in the middle, right here, this median column down here, this is where people really start making their money. But they start at about 35,000, progress. And you'll have some hiccups in your time. I mean, if you can go straight up and continue up, yeah. But look, this is showing people peaking out in the low 100s, which is not bad. I think that's very good. I think basically anytime you can cover your expenses, have enough left over, and you could, that emergency arises, that you can enjoy your life, take care of that emergency, then you're living well. But you start to see incomes start to really drop that late 50s. I think it's because people tire out, they jump out of the workforce. People stop hiring people who are older. Ageism does play a factor, but if you have really desirable skills, you can still get in the game. All right. And this will go by city. And this next one. All right. Anyway, income by city predictor. So, all right. So let's compare Atlanta. Wow, this is not. Wow. All right. So this is frozen. But all right, I'll pass up on this one. All right. Yeah. And so this will go household income benchmarks to give you an idea of what people actually earn. Average household income in 2024 was 114,000. So that means you probably got two full-time parents working at home, um, making about 60 to 75,000, and they're cooking. So you old Ravens out there, like, yeah, old dudes write out their skill set. Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I'll tell you, one of my mentors is one of my uncles. He's an engineer for a major company, and he makes now more in his retirement as a consultant because there's just not as many young guys who can do what he did. So he just gets hired on as a 1099 contractor, and he has to fly down to go work at the company, upgrade old systems, work with young guys who kind of know how they want to modernize, and they just don't have as many of him around. So they pay him. I want to say it was like $200 an hour was the last time he talked to me. And yeah, he makes more 1099 than he did as an employee. Yeah, so you can go, this will go the salary throughout the US. Let's see, let's put 80,000, 35, put you at the 66th percentile. Um, let's say 100,000. Yeah, that is about the 76th percentile. All right. 150,000, probably the 87th, 90th, 150, 90th percentile. Yeah. 88 to 90th percentile. A lot of people are frozen out in this bandwidth, like here. I think this is the new band of this is the top of the middle class. Right? Once you break this, you go into upper middle class. That's what it. Oh, did I put 1,500? Ooh, shit. Excuse me. Pardon me. Yeah, yeah. He has an LLC. I mean, he's a smart guy. He's one of the most smart black men who, kept his mouth quiet and, lived in all the nicest areas. He was DC, Buckhead, Miami, San Francisco, he was living in Scottsdale. Like he kept his money right. His kids are good. I think the two that I talked to the most both have advanced degrees, both are doing well. Um, one is a doctorate, one is a doctor, one is an MBA, the other one is a doctor too. Yeah. MD, and then one's a PhD. So yeah, they're smart kids. And they invested those kids and kept them studying. But yeah, this will go on and on and on, right? And then you go by race, it'll show you some interesting stuff too. Average income, median income, top 1%. So you start to see like that. White non-Hispanic, 82, Black, 57, Native American, 53, Asian, 95, Pacific Islanders. All right, we're beating them and we're beating the Indians. Okay. The multiracials. Ooh, and the Hispanics. Okay. So we're not horrible, but we're not great. You really want to be in this category or this category. But if you break that out by ethnicity, that's gonna be a lot more interesting than you think. Um, yeah, let me see. Yeah, I think I think I'm done with that. Oh, and all right. So the next portion I want to go to budgeting. All right. So we talked about one, if you want to do a business, do something that's passive that you can manage with the help of some locals. I'd recommend if you're going to do that, but I would not recommend starting your own business to compete with, people in another country. Get a good income from a high income earning country. What is that going to be? North America, Western Europe, parts of Asia, basically the Five Eyes countries, right? Or Australia, right? And there's exceptions. You can be in India or parts of Africa, parts of Southeast Asia, and you can get good income. Parts of South America, but there's really not a way to go. All right, so budgeting. You got that high income. Your best bet is to know where your money is at all times. So I use this site, Measure of a Plan. They got a good template that is on here, and it's free, right? Be careful because a lot of these are advertising. So yeah, the ads are very, very free. But you can go to their tools, get their spreadsheets. I got one, I modified it, made it a very interesting multi-hyphenate. I've been tracking like my dating, my types of entertainment, my types of educational funding, my travel for business versus pleasure, all this different stuff. Because I want to know where my dollars are and where they're going. And so every month I run a script, I get all that stuff. And I also have a subscription to Monarch to track my spending, track my income, see where my cash flow is, see where my net worth is, right? So it gets all that stuff. And then I have Credit Karma and all this different stuff because I want to know where my dollars. I'm not going to wind up like one of these folks that signs over power of attorney to somebody and, when it broke. All right. So what does that mean? All right. So know where to earn money instead of make a business, because that's a whole different skill set. Find a place that costs less and is much more affordable, and then figure out how to make that work. All right. So I'm going to share one more thing. This budget I made that was let me see. It was slapdash, but I think it'll give you a good idea. Yeah, so it's sharing. Am I sharing the screen or am I sharing the budget? Hold on. Yeah, let's try it. Try it one more time. Is it sharing? Huh. All right, so this is sharing. Okay, so at the top band right here, you're going to see income, right? This will give you an idea of the types of income you can earn. All right, to give you a scale of what you're doing. Okay, this next row, this is just an assumed amount that you could take out. This pre-tax amount is taken out from 70,000. You'll get 60,000 here, right? And I think that might be pretty small. I might share my. Oh, damn! It's like some inception. Sorry, I'm sharing the wrong screen. My apologies. My apologies. I was looking at that like, what the hell is wrong with this? Um, Look, that looked crazy. Yeah, let me share the Excel document. My apologies. Okay. All right. All right. So that should be sharing. Okay. Let's try this again a little bit. All right. So top row, you'll see expenses, or I'm sorry, your income, right? 70,000, 150, 300, 450. And over here in the far right, you'll see speculation if you're living abroad, right? So I'm just going to put that as Colombia, right? Row 4, assuming you're going to take out $10,000 a year for your deferred tax, 401k, 401k, what is it? Whatever that pre-deferred, there's a bunch of different types of TSP, all these different types of things you'll see for military and whatnot. All right. IRA, that's post-tax, right? So you're going to see the result here, pre-tax amount that's at 70,000 minus 10,000, just for an example. Post-tax, so that out of 60,000, this is going to be taxed on this amount. And I put down, I think, assumed 25% tax, and then your post-IRA amount, right? So that 45,000 minus this 3,000 gets you that 42,000. This is what you're left with as your net income. All right. And that's going to break down to about 3,500 a month. Okay. And this is going to show your expenses here. This is very cheap. This is like if you want to live as bare budget as you can. Housing, about 1,500. Utilities, about 200. Transpo, about 500. And transpo is going to be whatever your car costs, your insurance, your tax titles, all that stuff, right? Fuel as well. Food, 500 a month. Personal care, 200. Education, 100. Entertainment, 200, which that's pretty backwards. You better be spending more on education than entertainment. And then others, that could be, incidentals, right? That leaves you $200 a month left over. Okay. That's not a lot. That totals up to, all right, expenses yearly, 39,600 out of 42,000 of your net. This is you living frugally, but also making. So I think that's your bare amount is going to be about 40K. All right. And then column E, this is how much your expenses are out of your total expense. So 45 at 1,500 is about 45% of 3,300. It's at, the decimal point is a little bit over, but I just wanted to get this to two whole numbers or to whole numbers, right? And over here, this is down here. This is max out for what you're going to get as far as if you max out retirement, max out your IRA, you are in debt 600 a month, making 70,000 a year. You can't make that. Like, so you get what I'm saying? To prepare for your future, you actually have to, you can either give yourself less money for a better future, which is up top on this, what columns D through F. But if you want to max out for your future, as far as, your retirement as a portion of your future, you can't do it on 70,000, right? If you have different things that are coming in, you have a side job, there's a different way you could go about it. All right. All right. So you go to column H, you do the same things, right? It's about 8,500 a month net. On that 3,300, you have on that 3,300 of expenses, you have about 5,200 left. That's a lot of playing room. What can you do with 5,200 a month extra? You can invest it. You could buy a better place, rent a better place. You might, get a slightly better car. But then you're talking about lifestyle creep, hedonic treadmill, right? And if you're talking about what you want as far as your retirement, if you max that out, it brings you down to 7,600 a month, right? So you have about 4,300 a month left to play with. That's still a good amount. That's still a very good amount of money. And you could do all those different things that you wanted to do. And so you are, instead of 6,600 in the hole, you have 4,300 in the black. And then you go up when you're making 300, 40, 450. And then this is the last column, right? And I want to show you this so you get an idea. Like and so I use that Numbeo information to populate for this, all right? All right. So comparatively, right? If you're making 150 and you're living, let's say in Colombia, 8,500 a month, that goes a long way, right? But your costs are reduced by about 60%. So wait, is this taking the right one? Yeah, it is. Okay. Yeah. So your expenses are going to be roughly the same, 45% or so. And then you're going to have left over 7,100 instead of 5,300, more money left over. So you can do even more with that. 86,000 a year, right? You're going to have to pay different taxes. That's going to be interesting. But let's see. This is the amount that your expenses comes out of your overhead, out of your net, right? So that 1,500 a month is 43% of that 3,500 a month. 600 a month is 7% of that 8,500 a month. I mean, it's just ratios here, man. This is the way to do it. All right. So this goes into what can you do with this? All right. Okay. So this goes all the way down, transpo, all this stuff shows you what you can do. And then I want to unhide this and show the last piece. Where is it? Unhide. Okay. All right. What can you do with this? All right. So I created this little table to show, all right, in green, this is going to be your birth year, your current age, your retirement year, and then the age to retire, right? So it's basically, you can change this field or this field. I mean, you could technically change all these, but some of these are updated. So let's say you were born in 1970. Oops. Damn. 1970. All right, this will update. So this 1970 will add 75 years and show that you want to retire in 2045. All right, you see the formula working there? All right, so it says your age is assumed to be 54 years old. Okay, so I did a future value calculation. So this is what it does. All right, I don't even want to. So I'll explain the formula as best as possible. Right, so it takes this assumed interest rate of 4.75%, which if you have like an account for Ally, SoFi, stuff along those ways, and you could make more if you're in stock market. But this is just an interest rate that's going to come, right? And it says the amount of times per year compounds 12 once a month, so 12 times a year, and then it says how many years you're going to be invested. So that's basically this age to your retirement, about 21 years, and then it says multiply that by the number of years invested, right? And then you set this for how much is in your principal, which I set this at $0, and then how much is your recurring amount that's going to go in, which is this amount up here, $200 for the person making 70,000 a year, or 5,200, or what is this, 14,000 or 23,000, right, or 7,000. Okay, so this is going to show if you were doing this today with $0. What your end goal would be. That's what this future value would be. That's how much you would have at the end, right? So 230,000, 6 million, 17 million, 28 million, 8 million, if you're living in Colombia and expenses, right? What does that actually translate to? So this is your monthly recurring interest. This is going to be this 4.7, it's basically this number here, the 238,000. multiplied by the annual interest rate divided by the recurring amount. So what's 4.75% annualized or turn into a monthly amount? It's about $945 of interest. That's what you'll be getting. Okay. Is that enough to cover your budget? No. But if you're worth 6 million, yes. 17 million, yes. 28 million, yes. 8 million, yes. That is the annualized amount you'll be getting. All right. So you can see that formula there. All right. I think that looks a little too high for some reason, but yeah, that should be right. Let me see. That would be 238,000 times points times 0.475 divided by 12. Yeah, that should be right. Yeah. Okay. But let's say you started with 100,000. All right. Boom, 3,000 a month. And oh, this green, this is highlighted green if it exceeds your annual expenses up here, which is at 3,300 a month for the monthly expenses. All right. So that's just to give you an idea of what you can get to. If you're in America making 70K, it's not going to be it. Now, there's a certain number where you can get there, but I didn't work that out because I would have been doing formulas in this next half hour, but I still have some studying I need to do. All right. So this is a good idea to give you what you want to do. If you're average in America, you're struggling. You're either going to have to undercut your future, make more money, or move somewhere cheaper. Those are really only three options. If you're going to move somewhere cheaper, if you make some more money, you can do it, right? 100,000, 150, 300, 450. Or you can move somewhere cheaper, right? Because you can't invest in yourself because you're going to lose 600 a month if you're trying to invest in your future for retirement. You're going to lose 7,600. And this isn't even counting if you have a major incident, your car breaks down, right? You have a boiler at your house that breaks down, air conditioner. Can you even buy a house? This is motivation. You can stay average, do okay, make it by, maybe partner up with someone. You have an efficiency with family, which I recommend if you want to do it. Family is the best way to make an efficient household, but that's not what people are looking for. They're looking for the next lifestyle. Or you can have a surplus, 50,000, 160,000, 270,000, right? And you see here in Colombia, if you're making the same, let's see. Let me hide this real quick. This will be my last piece. If you're in Colombia making 150 versus in America making 150, you got about 30% more money saved over. Right? Look at that. About 30% more. It's the best option. And then over the lifetime, boom, 6 million versus 9 million. Recurring revenue from interest, 26,000 versus 36,000. I think I explained it. So if you're in class, you want somebody, put it on 2x. You can watch this back. Check the resources in the comments or in the description. If you have any questions, let me know. I'm going to try and do something tomorrow on, what was it? What did I have it as? I don't remember. I had a couple of articles saved, but we'll talk about that then. Anyways, thanks for tuning in. I'm going to get studying. Anyone who's in class tonight, see you guys then. Peace.